Okay, so let's just jump right in. Imagine you're trying to tackle some of the world's most uh, deep-seated social challenges.
Really tough ones.
Exactly. Things like preventing violence against women, fighting the practice of female genital mutilation, or even just improving basic reproductive health.
Yeah.
And imagine you could do it not with policy papers, but with a primetime soap opera.
And crucially, do it using what is, frankly, one of the most cost-effective economic development tools out there.
That's the core of what we're looking at today.
It really is. What's so fascinating here is the sheer power of narrative when you apply it intentionally. We're doing a deep dive into this concept of entertainment education.
Right.
It's a proven, highly sophisticated system where these long-running dramas are custom-built, episode by episode, specifically to improve people's health and well-being by systematically shifting cultural norms.
And the organization at the very center of all this is Population Media Center, or PMC. Their mission is so unique. They use these, wildly popular melodramas, telenovelas, as these precision instruments to drive real, measurable behavior change.
Yeah.
They're turning fictional stories into an actual tool for social progress.
And that engineered approach is the key. This isn't just about, slipping a message into a commercial break.
No.
The story is the catalyst. The whole thing is designed to help communities overcome what might be centuries of tradition.
So let's start with the mechanism then. If the story is the tool, what does that tool actually look like? How do you make sure the audience doesn't just, enjoy the drama, but actually internalizes the lesson?
Well, PMC focuses on creating these long-running dramas. They're broadcast on whatever medium is most dominant in a given region, so radio, television, even social media now.
But the method is what sets it apart.
The method is everything. They rigorously follow an approach adapted from the Sabido methodology.
Okay, Sabido. So what does that mean in practice? How is it different from just, having a character on a popular show say you should go to the clinic?
It's a world of difference. The core idea is the intentional, strategic use of character development over a very long run. It's based on social learning theory. So instead of just delivering facts, it provides models for behavior.
Models for behavior. So you're talking about specific character types.
Exactly. You always have three main types. First, the negative character. They represent the harmful traditional behaviors, the status quo the show is trying to dismantle.
Right.
Then you have the positive character. They embody the new desired behaviors. They're the immediate role model. But the most important character, the real engine of change, is the third one, the transitional character.
And that's the linchpin, isn't it? Because that's the character the average person in the audience is meant to identify with.
That's it. They start out maybe a bit skeptical or resistant, just like a lot of the audience, but then slowly, believably, they begin to change.
How does that happen on screen?
The transitional character faces realistic problems. They struggle. They see the negative consequences that the stubborn negative character faces, and they see the positive reinforcement the role model gets.
And over dozens of episodes, that evolution just normalizes the new behavior.
It does. The audience doesn't just watch a change. They sort of experience the process of changing with the character.
And that's the aha moment here, that a fictional character's decision can actually influence thousands of real-world actions.
And we've seen it. Sometimes these shows become a catalyst for huge community change. We have reports of entire rural villages coming together after an emotional storyline to collectively change what's acceptable in their community.
Wow.
Yeah, village elders might see a daughter figure on screen struggling with, say, a forced marriage, and they realize for the first time that similar things are happening to young women in their own village. It can lead to real change right at the local level.
That is just, it's turning passive entertainment into active social reflection. So, knowing how the mechanism works, let's talk about the range of problems they tackle. This is where it gets really substantive, because they're not aiming for small tweaks. They're targeting these deep-seated norms.
And it's really crucial to point out that their goals align directly with existing UN development goals and, the specific health strategies of the countries they're working in.
So this isn't some outside agenda.
Not at all. It's supporting goals that local governments and international bodies have already agreed upon.
Okay, so what are these complex areas they're tackling with stories?
The scope is immense. But first and foremost, the foundation of almost all their work is elevating the status of women in society.
Which feeds into everything else.
Everything else. From there, they target specific, often devastating challenges, A major one is preventing child marriage, and we're talking about young girls, sometimes called brides, being forced into situations they are just not ready for.
And this includes other forms of gender-based violence too, I assume.
Absolutely. The shows directly confront issues like domestic violence and, in some regions, the cultural practice of female genital mutilation, or FGM. They model characters who challenge and successfully reject these
I
norms.
know a huge theme is also education.
A massive theme, promoting girls' education and, specifically, delaying marriage until after high school. That education is the foundation for everything, for health choices, for economic autonomy.
And health is obviously interlinked with all of this.
Completely. A key goal is encouraging the use of effective family planning, educating people about the benefits of smaller, healthier families. It directly impacts maternal and child mortality. They also dedicate a lot of airtime to public health threats like HIV.
It even goes beyond personal health, right?
Yes, promoting environmentally sustainable behaviors is often woven in, showing how community actions affect local resources like water or forests. It's a whole system approach to well-being.
And the scale of this is just enormous. This isn't some small, localized experiment. PMC has broadcast these shows in 57 countries.
57. Across Africa, Asia, Latin America. It's a massive global footprint for behavior change.
Which you just can't do without a rigorous, proven method.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about tackling centuries of tradition.
And that rigor comes from the longevity and the expertise behind it. The founder of PMC, Bill Ryerson, has worked in reproductive health for over 50 years.
50 years.
And 4 decades of that has been spent adapting and refining this specific Sabido methodology all over the world. So when you apply this narrative science to public health goals for that long, the results become pretty predictable and reliable.
So the foundation isn't just media production. It's deep expertise in reproductive health and social science,
Yeah.
all being funneled into a narrative structure.
That's it perfectly.
Could you walk us through a specific storyline just to make it really tangible for us?
Of course. Let's take that goal of elevating women's status and promoting family planning. So imagine a drama set in a rural community. It features a young woman, let's call her Adisa, and she is under relentless pressure from her mother-in-law and her husband, Kofi, to have children immediately and, frequently. But Adisa wants to get some vocational training first. She wants to delay motherhood.
So you've got the core conflict right there. Tradition versus personal aspiration.
Correct. Now, Kofi, the husband, he's our transitional character. His friend Musa is the positive role model.
So Musa is already living the new behavior.
Right. Musa and his wife openly talk about using modern family planning. He supports her desire to start a business, and they've agreed to wait to have children until after she finishes her education, maybe after high school.
And what happens to Kofi, the one who needs to change?
Well, over dozens of episodes, Kofi experiences the negative effects of his traditional stance. They face serious financial stress, the household is unhappy, maybe Adisa even suffers a dangerous, back-to-back pregnancy.
So the audience sees the real-world negative consequences.
Exactly. And at the same time, Kofi sees the tangible positive results in his friend Musa's life. He sees that Musa's smaller family is healthier, happier, and more stable because they prioritized education and spacing their children.
So he starts to question things. He starts trying out new behaviors,
Yeah.
mimicking Musa.
Hesitantly at first, yes. The audience watches him learn and adapt. And by the end of the series, Kofi is transformed. He's supporting Adiza's return to school. They're visiting a clinic together. That detailed, relatable journey, spread out over months, is what makes the new behavior feel safe and desirable for the audience.
It normalizes it.
It normalizes it. The idea of delaying marriage and prioritizing education becomes a smart choice, not something mandated from the outside.
And what's so fascinating to me, especially from a development perspective, is how incredibly cost-effective this is.
Oh, massively.
The return on investment for these dramas in terms of actual behavior change often just blows traditional ad campaigns or workshops out of the water. It's such a smart way to use scarce development funds.
It's incredibly efficient because the messaging is absorbed passively during entertainment. It bypasses the resistance you often get with direct educational materials.
Right.
And by changing the norms for the whole population, you reduce the need for constant, expensive one-on-one interventions later on.
So let's pull this all together. We've seen how these serialized melodramas are systematically used as, well, role model generators. They tackle incredibly complex issues: child marriage, FGM, reproductive health, on a massive scale across 57 countries, and it's all guided by decades of rigorous scientific application.
The key takeaway here is that behavior change communication, when you package it as a compelling, localized story with characters who evolve, it
Mm.
can create profound positive change that demonstrably improves people's lives. And it does so with extraordinary efficiency.
So, considering the sheer power of this locally tailored narrative and its proven ability to shift population-wide behavior, from family size to delaying marriage and empowering young women, you just have to wonder about the untapped potential. Is this powerful blend of science and storytelling being underutilized worldwide in tackling other complex social challenges?